Ladies and gentlemen, this podcast. Did you know Trump just keeps picking winners over and over and over? And now your hosts, Josh Hammerling and Max McGuire.
Welcome back, Right Guys Podcast. Apologies, I've been out the last couple of days. And it's Max McGuire here with Mr. Producer Josh Hammerling. Friday, I was taking my son to Dallas. I'm a Boston College grad. They were playing SMU. That was fun. You can always tell when a school hasn't been a winning school in a while because people don't know how to win with dignity. And so they go into a game. SMU beat BC. I mean, no surprise there. It was our backup quarterback. They were 19-point favorites. And with a minute left to go in the game, BC had the ball down by 3 with a chance to win it. They didn't. SMU got the ball back, ran up to score another 7 points in garbage time, and these college kids start chirping, which is that's fine. I've had
drunk college kids chirping at a football game.
Before, but if you're a 19-point underdog and you sweat out a victory against another team, a 500 team with their second string quarterback, it's not the time to chirp.
Enjoy the win.
I told my son what to say when it happened because it did. They started chirping him, 6-year-old.
I've seen that.
His response was just to scream "safety school" at them, which I was very proud.
I told him to say that. I love this kid.
So then the next day we went north of Dallas. There's a little river where you can actually dig for shark teeth. Where it used to be an ocean millions of years ago. So they found some shark teeth, found some fossils, some fossilized like mollusks. Kind of cool. Just sitting in a river. Got back and whether it was the game or sitting in a river got me really sick. So on the mend now. But
that's what happens when you get those parasites.
Yeah. On the mend now, but I am going to be out next week. So I'm trying to line up some fill-ins, Josh. For me. Yeah. Trying to line up some fill-ins for next week. So we'll see how that
goes. What happens. It'll be fun. Programming notes. It's going to be fill-ins for Max.
We'll see how that goes.
With more of me.
Well, it's because I feel bad. I feel bad when I'm like, okay, you're on your own. You're like, so
I'll do it.
See if we can get some fill-ins for you.
No guarantee that I'll be good, but
no, you'll be fine. But I figure there's lots to talk about because Donald Trump told us we would be tired of winning. We're going to win so much, we'll be tired of winning. I don't think we've gotten there yet.
No, not even close.
But it is a lot. It is a lot. Like they just brought the McRib back after last year. They said it was gone.
You're McRib, dude?
No, but that's still winning. They said it was gone forever because of the way that pork prices were going, right? I mean, this is a Trump win.
Oh, yeah.
Not directly him, but they basically looked at pork pricing and said, okay, it's getting out of control. It's not going to be affordable enough for us to bring back this monstrosity of a McRib sandwich. No one will buy it if we have to charge what we have to charge for it. So it's gone. Have it now, whatever. Them bringing it back is a very good sign that they're seeing pork prices, at least long term, they're predicting it's going to start coming down a lot. And it already has. So there's lots of little things like that. I'm sure you saw him walk out to UFC. Absolutely electric.
Mm-hmm.
Electric stuff.
Yeah.
We have. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, he got handed the belt after the win by his longtime friend who was doing that. Like, that's a powerful, like, that's a belt that when you get it, you want to put on the wall and you hand it over to the president.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty big sign from a friendship right there. That's all I got to say. That's huge.
Oh, for sure. Went and watched the Starship launch yesterday. And then we have this fight in Congress over an incoming congressman who is transgender, biological man, identifies as a woman.
Okay.
Basically saying he is going to go into the women's locker rooms, into the women's bathrooms. So there's been this whole fight. And I think if any other year the GOP caves, right? Any other year, I think the GOP caves on this fight and just says, it's not worth it. Do whatever you want. But with this, Donald Trump spent over $100 million on the Kamala Harris's for they, them, I'm for you ads. You can't say that his victory wasn't a repudiation of that. And all of a sudden now you have the GOP finding the spine that they didn't have even a couple years ago. Here's Speaker Johnson.
Unequivocally clear. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. And a man cannot become a woman. That said, I also believe that's what Scripture teaches, what I just said. But I also believe that we treat everybody with dignity. And so we can do and believe all those things at the same time. And I wanted to make that clear for everybody because there's lots of questions. But that's where I stand. I've stood there my whole life, and those are facts.
Now, does he set the rules?
He does. Well, so the rules have to be, he basically decides what the rules package will look like.
Interesting.
The House has to vote on it, but it's the kind of thing where once it's negotiated, once the whole Republican caucus, the Tea Party, the establishment types, once they get what they want, that's the rules package. As long as the GOP has the majority, that's what the rules package will be. So him, obviously, he's representing the more establishment wing of the party. For him to go on the same side as Congresswoman Mace and saying, no, we're not going to have this.
Yeah.
It didn't have to come from the Tea Party or the Freedom Caucus wing of the Republican Party. It came from the establishment types, recognizing that, no, this was on the ballot. Whether Kamala Harris wanted it to be on the ballot or not, Donald Trump put this on the ballot, and his win and the coattails that brought the GOP across the finish line in the House and the Senate made this a mandate to tackle this issue. And no, we're not going to have biological men in ladies' spaces. Nancy Mace, Congresswoman Mace, said it much clearer: no penises in the women's restroom. And now she is she says she's a past victim of sexual assault, attempted rape. So she takes this very seriously. And she was not backing down yesterday, and they went at her as much as they could. She received death threats from people. And that's how you know that the other side's a losing side. If you're like, hey, maybe the biological men shouldn't be in the ladies' changing rooms, and the other side says, we're going to kill you unless you let us do it. Maybe you can start to realize you're on the right side for this, right? If you that the death threat side is the bad side for this. So this wasn't a Trump victory per se, but it still was, because they don't have the mandate for this if he doesn't spend over $100 million on ads in swing states saying Kamala Harris is for they, them, I'm for you. And make this a referendum on that.
It's amazing what happens when you start winning elections based on merits of the party, the thing that the very platform was built on, right? Because it gives them a little courage now. I think this is the first time that we've seen Republicans not be wimps. Yeah, in a long, long time. And let's see if they keep it up, right? Because we still have to get all the things done. There's still got to be a bunch of confirmations. But it's amazing what an election can do for the state of mind of your elected officials. I mean, now you've got a Republican Party starting to knuckle back. They're pushing back, man. We never would have seen this 8 years ago.
No,
we didn't see this back.
They would have rolled over. They would have rolled over. They would have rolled over and just taken it, right? Yeah. Oh, okay. We have to be respectful. Like the second half of Speaker Johnson's statement, men are men, women are women, but we also want to treat them with dignity. They would have said, okay, go in the bathroom. That's dignity. Right.
Yeah.
I did like the other proposal I saw come out yesterday, that there should be a Democrat bathroom and Republican bathroom, and trans people can be in the Democrat bathrooms. And if they have a problem with it, maybe they can change their rules. That was a little funny to me.
That'd be interesting.
whether they would put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. Donald Trump has nominated Brendan Carr to be FCC chair. Do you see that? That happened yesterday. Brendan Carr.
Interesting pick
because he wrote the chapter in Project 2025 on the FCC.
Yeah, I know. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, how did that happen? Right?
Yeah. I mean,
that's not our agenda, but this guy.
This is kind of the joke. Like, okay, we're all for Project 25. We always were. There are a lot of things in Project 2025 that make a lot of sense. There were a lot of things that were put in there by people. You're like, what are you talking about? You're gonna track women's periods. Shut up.
And not all of it was bad. You got to remember that it was painted as something pretty negative when it's not, right? I mean, some of those things that were just common sense, strong border, not letting government take over the airwaves and stuff, right?
Yeah, no, Homan is the border czar. He wrote a lot of the border parts in Project 2025. Now Brendan Carr is FCC.
That'd be interesting.
It makes me laugh, right? Because we all knew that there was a lot in Project 2025 that we liked. They tried to paint it with a broad brush that it's all evil, when it really was just a bunch of think tanks and policymakers coming together and saying, if we win, this is what we'd like. Some of it was crazy. A lot of it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, he's also been really, really hard against Facebook, Google, Apple, Microsoft, and others for their roles in the censorship stuff, right? And what is he going to start bringing underneath the umbrella of the FCC, right? Does that sort of stuff start getting mandated and officiated by the FCC? And if so, like, that puts him in a position of power now to expose some of that large, I guess the word censorship cartel, right?
Yeah.
So, and what happens to National Public Radio?
Yeah.
That's the other piece of it, because he controls that now. I think that falls under FCC.
Yeah.
So, man,
I think you're gonna see a lot of things that are going to be treated as violations that are violations, but but they let them slide in the last couple of years, like Kamala Harris the eve before the election going on Saturday Night Live, hoping that she could get some free airtime and Donald Trump wouldn't be able to do anything about it. That was sneaky, and NBC was forced to let Trump air ads during NASCAR and Sunday Night Football. But little things like that under a Biden administration, they let it slide. Under a Trump administration, they won't let it slide. We got Dr. Oz is going to be leading Medicare and Medicaid.
It's so wild. But again, I start with, they're not a swamp monster.
Yeah.
Right? They're not a swamp monster. And this is why all these picks are getting everybody so scared, right? Because they know these people will not fall in line. They don't probably have the Diddy leverage, right? They probably don't have any of that leverage, right? Any of that dirty, nasty stuff that they've got. And wow, could you imagine the kind of changes that might actually start showing up because people aren't falling in line with the machine?
Well, here's the thing. Like, if Democrats were to win and they were to nominate Oprah for something, no one would say that Oprah doesn't have the experience.
Correct.
Right? But Dr. Oz came up right under Oprah. Came up in the Oprah, I call it the Oprah cinematic universe, like Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz. He has much more qualifications than Oprah. He's an actual doctor, right?
Yeah, he's like actually done the work.
And yet they're trying to make this out to be that, it's a ridiculous pick. Listen, just know that when he gets into office, don't worry, RFK Jr. will be managing him. Dr. Oz doesn't need to know everything because RFK Jr. is going to do a really good job of managing him. Wow. Say that and watch the left's heads explode.
Well, I think they're already happening. There's usually our regulars that are like, oh my goodness. It's an interesting pick, man. I mean, he's going. All these people share one characteristic in this, that they've not really been involved with the apparatus before.
Yeah.
Trump's first term, everybody that brought in was part of the apparatus for the most part. At one point, he's got John Bolton running international affairs and stuff, that's the wrong pick.
Yeah.
Now this is something totally different.
Yeah.
But again, the Secretary of Defense will be just some sort of Fox talking head, right? That's the only way they're painting him.
We got Matt Whitaker, former acting attorney general, Trump loyalist, will be the ambassador to NATO. This was someone that was being pushed as if Matt Gaetz doesn't go through, this is someone you could probably get through and would be a Trump loyalist at the DOJ. He's now going to NATO. So he's not sending a NATO loyalist to NATO. He's sending a Trump loyalist to NATO.
His jaw looks like it has like 30 confirmed kills by itself.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So that's interesting pick too, like sending one of your guys into NATO. And what was Trump's position the whole time? You're not paying your fair share, get your shit together and start defending, right?
This is also what I've been calling the burning the ships. When Cortez reached the New World, he burned his ships so that his men wouldn't have any hesitation and any hope of going back home. You're here, burn the ships, we're here, right?
Yeah.
This is him burning the ships for Matt Gaetz. There's no backup plan now in the wing. I'm sure there is, but the lead backup plan is no longer in the wings waiting for a Matt Gaetz failure. Matt Gaetz himself burned the ships, resigned from Congress.
Yeah, there's no going back.
Yeah, there's no going back, right? He also had a very good meeting today or yesterday with Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham's now in favor of Matt Gaetz.
Wow.
So you
Amazing
get
what an election will do.
Yeah. You get Lindsey Graham on your side. Again, that's not a far right senator. That's a wishy-washy middle, almost Democrat.
And he's got a coalition, right? Yeah. I mean, they're really starting to pull together a strong Republican Party, like strength through strength.
And you see Donald Trump taking these cabinet picks. He's not just picking them and sending them out to just fend for themselves, right? These are his Avengers. So what happened last week? He named RFK Jr. He named Tulsi Gabbard. Mm-hmm. Controversial picks. What did he do? He walked out to UFC with them in his entourage.
I know.
Right? And who else was in the entourage? Speaker of the House, Johnson, who has the authority, if he wants, to basically adjourn the House. And then if the Senate doesn't also want to adjourn, then Trump can have recess appointments. Because that's the thing, right? Like recess appointments allow you to appoint someone into positions for 2 years if they're not automatically confirmed. Now, the Senate can go into recess, or there can be disagreements between the houses. So if the house between the chambers, so if the House of Representatives says, "Hey, I want to go into recess," and the Senate disagrees, the Constitution says that the President of the United States gets to resolve that difference and decide when they adjourn and when they reopen. So they're talking about recess appointments. What's Donald Trump doing? He's having Speaker of the House Johnson walk out with his Avengers, with RFK Jr., right, with Tulsi Gabbard, walking out to a hero's welcome, an absolute hero's welcome.
Yeah. And it's been huge. And, the left forever has utilized these, they're not tricks, but at least these methods for getting stuff done for years. And nobody's batted an eye, right? There's been lots of recess appointments by Democrats out there, and nobody gave a crap. The moment Republicans line up and want to do the same thing, it becomes the most evil thing on this side of the planet. Suddenly everybody wants to stay at work, right? And this is what you get when one side, like the Democrats, have been using those kind of powers for so long. The other side gets it. Like, watch out, because they're going to play the game too, and it's on.
Yeah, which is how you get such amazing pictures as this. RFK Jr. on Trump Force One, being held at basically gunpoint, forced to eat McDonald's.
Drinking a Coke.
Everyone knows exactly what this is. Okay, RFK, smile.
I'm trying.
I love Don Jr.'s response was "Make America Healthy Again starts tomorrow." Not that it starts tomorrow.
What's kind of funny is that Elon and Trump, like that meal in front of them, looks like something they'd probably actually eat.
Yeah. Oh no.
You know what I mean?
That's what every time you go on Trump Force One, you have an option. You have like two options, but like the only real option is double quarter pounder with cheese. Like that's your option. Or Big Mac. So,
but that's good, man. Like this is a cool photo. Notice how McDonald's hasn't said a word about it. They're just like, yeah, we're gonna go with this one, right? I mean, that's like an iconic picture to some degree. If that's not up in McDonald's headquarters as a photo, I can't help them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it is.
But you can see what he's doing. He's taking these pics, and he's not just saying, I'm gonna let the media create the narrative on who these people are. He's rolling them out at the red carpet. He's taking Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Donald Trump doing something high profile with Matt Gaetz. You create the vision of them being your cabinet secretaries, them walking in with you, right? Sitting with you, hanging out with you. You make the American people more comfortable with them being around you long term. You make them look like they're already in the cabinet. It's easier to get them in the cabinet. So don't be surprised if you see Matt Gaetz at some Trump event walking in with Trump to something, right?
Mm-hmm. And this prevents the legacy media from creating the narrative around these people, right? It allows you to create the narrative around these people. And we haven't seen that for a long time. And we're looking at the pretty much the end of mass legacy media that's constantly been lying because they can't get away with it anymore.
Yeah.
They're quickly falling apart. And Donald Trump knows it. And that's why he's already leveraging the bully pulpit, and he's not even been sworn in yet.
Here's the JD Vance example. What's JD Vance doing? He's hanging out with Marco Rubio and Matt Gaetz. They're making the rounds in the Senate, right? You create this image of we're unified, we're together. Marco Rubio, there's nothing controversial about the Marco Rubio post, unless you fall into my camp. You say he probably isn't MAGA enough, but still, he's done enough in recent years to get a little bit of support. But you create this image that it's not just Matt Gaetz. Here, I appointed you, I nominated you. Go figure it out. It's no, we nominated you, and now we're going to go twist some legs, twist some arms, and get these senators to support you. So images like this of Rubio, Gaetz, and JD Vance in the halls of I don't know, that's one of the Senate buildings. They're big. They're big in terms of optics for the public.
I've noticed, and it feels like they're already started the job and they're not even sworn in yet. What administration was capable of starting the job before they even got in? I've never heard of such a thing. So it tells you the kind of change you're seeing here. This is something new.
Yeah.
In politics, and it might be the future of politics. And I think that's why Democrats are spending so much time rebranding. They're not reflecting, right? They still believe the things they believe. They're rebranding now to try to battle this. And they're just staying quiet on it. But the further they stay away from it, they may not be able to fight it in 08. They may not be able to fight this in 06. They might be losing their edge.
Have you seen the Trump dance making the rounds everywhere? Not only was the Trump dance
player did it.
U.S. soccer captain did it. The Jones at UFC did the Trump dance and
Kittle
laughed
did
about
it on NFL in all of his games.
All across the NFL, white and black players doing the Trump dance. Yeah. That's how you know you messed up as Democrats. When the corniest little dance that we love because it's so Trump. It's just so Trump, so funny. And like the idea that YMCA has its own dance, right? But instead the YMCA dance has just become like this instead of the actual YMCA. Yeah. It's funny. It's funny. So when you see it making the rounds, it's not just that you have players who are and athletes who are going to do it, but they're comfortable enough to do it.
Yeah. Right? And it's become part of the fabric of their culture.
Yeah.
Which is even more powerful. And it's just a little dance, right? But it reflects a ton of power. And the other thing is it reflects a connection to the individual that you're picking to run things for him, right? That's the thing the Democrats can't get about it, right? There's a connection that he's made with people. And they don't know how to do that anymore. They lost it.
Right.
And I'm not going to get advice in getting it back.
Since we started this broadcast, the House Ethics Committee is voting, I believe, to withhold the Gaetz report. Let me make sure that that's correct.
Oh, really?
Voting to block it.
Interesting.
So that shouldn't be controversial. The way that the House Ethics Committee works is it has to have jurisdiction. It isn't just this committee that gets to investigate anyone. It can only investigate members of the House of Representatives. If someone is no longer in the House of Representatives, they legally cannot investigate them. Otherwise, this could be just a tool to go after anyone in the country, right?
Oh.
So Matt Gaetz is not the first person to resign his office with an ethics report hanging over his head. Not the first time this has happened. It's happened many times in the past where someone chooses not to run for re-election. All of a sudden, ethics report won't ever see the light of day. And this ethics report also is on charges that were brought before the DOJ. The DOJ investigated them, and Biden's DOJ chose not to pursue charges against Matt Gaetz.
Yeah. And I was even suspicious of the timing when it all showed up too. And like the 24-hour news cycle started going hard after him. Like when that thing first popped up, and then it just magically went away. There was no corrections. There was nothing that people were saying out there like, sorry, we got it all wrong about this dude, right? It just slowly and quietly goes away. And people are still citing it. I mean, how many shows have I been listening to lately where they're trying to accuse Matt Gaetz of being some sort of coked out sexual predator? And Fox had to do a retraction one day when one of their guests lost their minds.
The View also had to do not a retraction, but a legal notice. Sunny on The View.
Really?
Yeah, she was bad-mouthing Matt Gaetz, and within 3 minutes, she was given a script to read that he's innocent until proven guilty. Here's the clip.
How could you nominate someone with allegations of child trafficking trafficking across state lines and having sex with a 17-year-old? My understanding, further on in the interview, they discussed the fact that once he finds out that she's 17, he stops having sex with her.
Sonny, you have a legal note.
I do have a legal note. Thank you, Whoopi.
She's pissed off.
Matt
Look at that
Gaetz
face.
has long denied all allegations, calling the claims, quote, invented, and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism. That DOJ investigation was closed with no charges being brought.
We'll be right back.
Yeah, they go to commercial, right? She got a gun to her head. You got to read this or you're fired, right?
Commercial. And Matt Gaetz commented on this just with the wide eyes, like, yeah, no, there were a lot of things wrong with the investigation. The investigation, if he did anything close to what they said he did, and they could prove it, they would have prosecuted him. They absolutely would have prosecuted him.
Absolutely.
One of the things that came out, I don't want to name names because I don't want to get it wrong. One of the things that came out was that it looked like people were getting paid to perpetuate these accusations. So the minute someone has some financial incentive to accuse someone of something, you got to take their testimony with a little bit less seriousness. Doesn't mean they're necessarily lying, but the truth isn't their only motivation anymore. And so what the DOJ found was that the witnesses that were testifying against Matt Gaetz had credibility problems. One of which was they seemed to have some financial interest in my understanding in having him go down. So you can't prosecute someone for something like that. You can't. And you look at this. I mean, the things online, people are saying Matt Gaetz was a pedophile. Matt Gaetz was a pedophile. It's frustrating. I'm not defending anyone who is a pedophile. Or if you go to Blue Sky, which is the liberal Twitter alternative, there's a lot of them over there, and they're all unifying under as MAPS, minor attracted persons. There's a whole safety group over there. Yeah. The Twitter alternative that the left is rushing to, full of MAPs, looking for MAP pride and MAP acceptance. Yeah. It's gross shit. Pedophiles, though, just definitionally, pedophiles target prepubescent children. If you're at a party and someone says they're 18, and in reality they're 2 weeks shy of their 18th birthday, and they lie to you, definitionally that doesn't make you a pedophile because they're not a prepubescent child. There's another word for it.
Engaging in with a minor. I mean, that's still shouldn't be
hebephilia. Hebephilia.
Oh, you're talking about
there's different words for it. There's different words for it, right? Pedophiles go after little kids. There's nothing to suggest that Matt Gaetz has ever gone after little kids. If he got set up by someone, which it looks like it was a setup to take him down, and got someone to say that they were 18 and they weren't. And as Sonny Hostin just admitted on The View, as soon as he found out that they were not 18, allegedly he broke it off with them, right? That is very different. That is very, very different. Still not right to do, but also very, very different than what the left is trying to make it out to be. So do I think that Matt Gaetz partied too hard at times? Yeah, probably. I saw him from afar at CPAC one year. He was drinking more than anyone else I saw.
He's just got a strong liver.
Yeah. Walking around with a woman on each arm. I was like, that's different for congressmen. That's different for a conservative family values congressman. But okay, do what you gotta do.
It's how you eventually get a family. I mean, there is the enjoy the dating.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But to go after him like this,
full
and
setup.
This is how you know they're not going to release the ethics report, because he is not the only member of Congress with skeletons. Right?
No,
Congress, it's a full-time job in Congress covering up skeletons. So the minute that they make an example of Matt Gaetz, if they were to release this report, they will never again be able to bury something, right? So every time a member of Congress gets accused of sexual assault, they bury it under non-disclosure agreements, under hush money payments, and taxpayer dollars go to pay those women, or in some cases men, settlements. They get wiped away, never to be talked of again, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they go after Matt Gaetz, no longer in the House, those settlements will come out.
Oh, yeah. And what's going to happen is, there's going to be no new settlements. And it's amazing how quickly those skeletons become the Walking Dead when somebody brings it up, right? They don't want to touch that thing, and they shouldn't touch that thing. But if they end up doing it, like, that will be an undoing like we've never seen before. Because I can't remember, it was many, many years ago that there was upwards of $5 to $10 million a year that Congress was paying just to cover up these sexual harassment accusations and stuff like that. And that's a lot of money for any could you imagine having a company having to spend $10 million a year on sexual harassment?
And it's bipartisan. It's both parties. It's not one party or the other. It's not only men or only women. It's both. It's all the way across the board. So it's very fresh to see them all pearl clutching. Say, oh my gosh, Matt Gaetz partied. And like,
how many times has he set up?
Yeah, how many settlements do you have? How many NDAs do you have? How much money, how many taxpayer dollars have you given to your accusers?
Right.
For their
It makes it even worse if it's set up on top of it, right? I mean, and we've seen it before. Like Boebert's got the groping thing, and boy, that smelled of setup. How many times have all these people?
The way they describe that, it's not groping if it's consensual.
Yeah.
If you go with your date, like, don't do that in front of people, right? Don't do that in front of other even there. But like, she's not the first person to get handsy in a theater. And the idea that she groped someone, though, that language
suggests she doesn't. Yeah.
It suggests like sexual assault, which is crazy. It's crazy.
It was probably foreplay.
They're very good at twisting the words to make things seem as bad as they possibly could be. And it's up to all of us to hold the line. If we can hold the line on Matt Gaetz, I think he'll be an excellent attorney general, if only for the fact that he wants to burn it down. Yeah. Right. He's going in there on the record saying he wants to release this and that. He wants to fire this. He wouldn't be beholden to anyone there. Anyone. They are coming after him with everything they've got because of the threat he poses. if he was a Jeff Sessions who was just going to be meek and quiet and let them roll over him, they wouldn't be throwing everything they had at him. They wouldn't be trying to undo the precedent of the House doesn't investigate people who aren't in the House. They wouldn't be opening themselves up to those ramifications if they weren't so terrified of what Matt Gaetz would do. And they're terrified because he's going to do the right stuff, what the MAGA movement wants him to do, not because he is going to be a DOJ loyalist.
I was just looking for it and I can't find it. There was this political cartoon that had Trump walking towards Washington, and he's holding a flamethrower, and the flamethrower says Matt Gaetz.
Yeah,
right. Matt Gaetz is his flamethrower. He's walking into Washington, and he's just going to start burning it down. Like that's why they're scared, man. They know that there's a reckoning coming. They are looking for a reckoning, and the first 4 years was nothing but Russian collusion. We're going to go after you. The whole apparatus had lined up, right?
Yeah.
Like it's scorched earth time. And they're starting early. Like the game clock hasn't even started. And they're setting up. So
So we got a lot. And listen, we're winning. We're going to keep winning. But it's not the kind of thing where we can take our feet off the gas and just coast through this thing. It's up to all of us to continue to be putting pressure on our members of Congress, our senators, right? If you're a congressman, reach out to them, call them, email them, write them a letter. If we work for our old company, I'd say fax them. I don't even know if they still do that anymore. Contact them and let them know that you don't want this to be weaponized against Matt Gaetz. The way it works in Congress is that for every person who calls into an office, they assume that there are thousands more like you that just don't have the time or the effort or care enough to call. So a few people calling about something can really turn the tide on an issue.
Yes.
Call your senators, email your senators, write into your senators that you expect them to confirm all of Trump's appointees. And not just if you have a Republican senator, also your Democrat senators, because generally it's been accepted that presidents get their cabinet. And barring something absolutely crazy, it's usually been a bipartisan vote, which is why Merrick Garland got 20 some odd Republican votes for Attorney General. If 20 Republicans can vote for Merrick Garland, and they're definitely the more centrist, left-leaning Republicans, why can't those same Republicans vote for Matt Gaetz? Right? And so it's up to all of us to put that pressure on them, because the only thing they really fear is losing re-election. Now, the ones who are just re-elected now, 6 years, you're not going to scare them. You're not going to scare them. But the ones up for re-election 2 years from now, 4 years from now, they look at this and they understand that this is going to play a role. If they're up for re-election in 2 years and a few hundred people are calling their office around the clock demanding that they give Trump his cabinet, that has impact. So if you haven't already, I highly recommend that you do it. Reach out to your congressman, reach out to your senators, and get their ear. Tell them what you want. Now, part of the winning isn't just that Trump's going to be winning. It's that he has given us a lens to view the world, and the things that Josh, you and me and other conservatives understood were crazy, absurd. His victory now makes everyone, many more people, comfortable with pulling that out and saying that's absurd, right? So there are going to be people, organizations, companies that don't read the room, and they decide that we're going to keep going the way of the Kamala Harris, Tim Walz craziness, and they're going to be the Bud Light 2.0s, right? And similarly, it's up to all of us to make sure that they feel the pain for that. Otherwise, these companies are going to keep doing it. And I asked you at the start if you had seen this. I'll ask you again, have you seen the new Jaguar commercial?
I have not. So you kind of bated breath here. What do we got?
Jaguar, everyone knows, I believe it's a British brand. Is it British?
I thought Jag was British, yeah. Very nice Jags. I mean, there's a lot of people that brag about getting Jags, and they have some high-end luxury cars that are cool.
UK. They're co-owned by Land Rover, so same company.
Okay.
Jaguar iconic hood ornament. Everyone I know who's ever owned a Jaguar said it's expensive to maintain. It's not the cheapest. I mean, that's here in the United States. I'm sure it's cheaper in the UK. But it has historically been a symbol of wealth, of you made it. You own a Jag, right? It was just one of those cars that was a status symbol. I want to show you the ad that they just put out for the new era of Jaguar. I shit you not. This is a real video.
Where's the car?
Nowhere. Their idea to sell more cars is to take their iconic logo and go minimalist, which I hate. I hate these companies going minimalist with their actual company names, and to put some men in dresses. That's their new campaign.
When I would make commercials for clients, I was usually selling a product or the brand itself, and I would show things about the car or the brand that I'm trying to sell, right? Like, I got to create interest in my product, and there's no product placement here, so I'm just going to start from that side of it. There's not a single product placement for Jaguar other than the name at the very, very end. And there was a bunch of platitudes that are playing during this as well, like non-conformity, essentially, right?
Create exuberant.
What does that mean? It's just a platitude.
Live vivid. Delete ordinary.
So is there a
Break
market out
molds.
there?
This is a man in a dress.
With a so is there a market, the transvestite wealthy person? Like, is there a group? Is there an unknown tap
Copy
market
nothing
for this?
I think it's fair that they have copied nothing. This is not copied.
No, this is all original. I'll say that. But man, I don't even, if I watched that commercial for the first time, I thought it might have been like perfume or the clothing line, because it really muddles the point of the commercial. Or am I selling an idea of nonconformity?
This doesn't read luxury sedan.
Not at all. There's nothing here that screams at it. This might be like some sort of dystopian movement move me, right? Or there's perfume commercials at Christmas, like when you get those weird things for Johnny Depp standing on a mountain and he gets struck by lightning. It says like Dior, right? It's in that vein.
This response made me laugh. Bad language. I don't condone it. It is a little bit of a funny response though. What are you trying to sell me? Is this a car? Is this the car company Jaguar? Jaguar says, introducing you to the future. This guy says, the future is no longer gay and retarded. Trump won.
Wow.
So, I mean, the fact that Twitter/X is a free app and we get to see just like interactions like this between major brands is just crazy. I can't believe the one. I hate the minimalist. Even if they didn't put that,
did they change the logo?
They changed the logo.
All right.
So Jaguar traditionally,
well, that's an odd way to show the new branding, right? Because I'm wondering if their gender fluid market of rich millionaires out there are really interested in this stuff. That's the Jag. I kind of remember that was like the 90s-ish.
Yeah. So
when they changed it,
it's the hood ornament, iconic hood ornament.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it, right? Everyone absolutely knows it. Now we got. Let me open a new tab. Now we got this.
It looks like a cheap, like deodorant brand or something.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing about it.
You know what it looks like? It looks like a budget perfume brand.
The commercial feels that way too. That I would absolutely say Like if I watched that for the first time and you were to put a perfume bottle in the back, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
But
It's
a Jag
it's
was
like
sleek and
it's like a
fast.
perfume that couldn't sell at Macy's
Yeah.
and is now at TJ Maxx exclusively.
And they went from this strong, sort of majestic, sleek cat, right? That was always silver. The very representation of what Jag was from the very, very start, right?
Yeah.
And you think of this big, strong, powerful animal. And now when you look at Jag, am I supposed to think gender fluid, queer, unknown?
Yeah.
You know, this is the marketing they've come up with. So obviously they think that this is the future of that brand, even with their statements.
They are going to fail. They are going to fail miserably. No one wants to buy a Jaguar who thinks like that. That is not their target market.
No.
It is so seldom that you see a major brand miss the mark this much, right? I think probably this is worse than Bud Light.
Yeah.
Now, for me, because Bud Light was actually in my orbit, like here in America, you go to a bar, what's on happy hour, Bud Light, okay, I'll have one of those. That impacted me more, but this is just so far, it's just so off. And in terms of why I call this a Trump win, obviously, if Trump had lost and we're in the 4 more years of darkness, right?
Yeah.
It wouldn't just be this company. It would be every company, right? They do this. The only time they don't do this is in their Middle East editions. So the Middle East versions of their company don't show these ads. I guarantee you
they would not be. They're not doing this in the UAE, right?
Let me look that up. Let me see if I can find that.
I was just trying to figure out who they sell to, right? And overwhelmingly, it's like a 50-50 between men and women buy Jag. But they usually would prioritize sophistication and upscale appeal. That's what Jag was, right? I mean, that upscale appeal. And now they went from being like an upscale brand to a weird brand. Like, I don't know what the commercial's supposed to convey, like a gender fluid, alphabet letter group.
Yeah.
And it's are the cars going to get cheaper? I mean, is there a cheapening of the brand too? Like, are we going to get a bunch of cheap Jags that come out? And they're electric? I mean, I don't even know what the vehicle's supposed to represent or what it's going to be. All I get is this weird platitude on gender and gender instruction or neutrality. I don't even know how to interpret the freaking commercial, man.
No, it's dumb. But my hope is that other companies see this and they realize, okay, we can't do this. Like, they see the backlash. It's going to be swift. It's not often you get to see a major brand commit brand suicide like this.
Yeah.
So
I want to go back to that sophistication piece. Are the people out there that consider themselves the most sophisticated inside of these cultural groups, and that's why they're going that route? I'm trying here, man, because like you said, this is brand suicide. This would be something that you would want to not just fire your marketing person over. You'd want to drag them out of the street and throw their office out with them, right?
Yeah. This is brand suicide. And we get to look at this through the lens of Trump winning and the major realignment here. Obviously, the UK hasn't experienced that realignment. They just had the Labour Party win, so they're experiencing a different shift in the UK, right? So I'm looking forward to this because I think if this had happened under like a Hillary Clinton presidency or under a Kamala Harris presidency,
with the Jag?
I think this would have been celebrated in the media. It would have been celebrated that this is the path forward, that this is progressive. This is the future.
Max, could you imagine that if they made this marketing based on a Kamala win?
Yeah.
Like all of their indicators were like, this is the direction that the country is going. Kamala's going to win. Yeah. We're going to be ahead of it. Like it was already happening. It couldn't be stopped. And then it comes out at the worst possible time. Yeah. This will go down as one of the worst marketing moves since Bud Light. I can't wait for, do you own a Jag? Because what we should do is get a bunch of Bud Light cases, put them in a Jag and drive around.
Drive off.
What happens.
Drive off.
With some tannerite and at a distance.
Almost out of time. I wanted to bring this up because this really intrigues me. Polling, how polling can change. So this is from Rasmussen. This is the daily right direction polling. And So the orange is the GOP, the gray is the Democrats, and the blue is all voters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Watch how election day happens. Republicans are now right direction up, Democrats down, but all voters are still about the same.
Yeah.
Which to me was shocking. I would have thought that it would have gone up. But it shows you how even a president winning the popular vote, it didn't create the shift that I was expecting. I love seeing data visualized like this. I expect it's going to go up as that orange goes up even higher. The reason it's not over 50 is Trump's not in office yet.
Yeah,
so,
but the blue is mirroring the orange in its shape, meaning that it's following the trend up, right? If it was more following the Democrat trend, it would be shifting down, but it's not. So
yeah,
but it's still right in the middle. I understand what you're saying, but at least the middle is shaping to look like Republicans. So
yeah. It's just if you were to look at just like all people, you wouldn't see that big of a change. You might even say, oh, maybe it's trending down a little bit. But the minute you break it out and you spread it out like this, I don't know. I like seeing data visualized and data kind of mapped out. I had some more of that, but I can't find them right now.
Still just interesting.
Yeah, different graphs.
I think it sells actually well for Republicans there, because the idea that the right direction is what the Republicans are doing should set you up for 28, 26. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just different.
And we have a statement from Tim McBride, who goes by Sarah.
Okay.
The man who claims to be a female and wants to go in ladies' restrooms. He has said, I am not here to fight about bathrooms. I'm here to fight for Delawareans and bring down the costs facing families. Like all members, I will follow the rules as outlined by Speaker Johnson, even if I disagree with them. If Donald Trump didn't win, I guarantee you this isn't a rollover. I'll go to the bathroom you want me to go in.
Fight every day, and then beyond social media, they're kicking me out of the shitter, right?
Yeah. And this Tim/Sarah McBride, he has in the past taken pictures of himself in women's bathrooms, like bragging about it. So like we would have been in for crazy. It would have been crazy had it not been for Donald Trump not only winning, but making this an issue he campaigned on and a part of his mandate. Of course, they would have fought even harder for this. We never hear the end of it, just like we never heard the end of it under Barack Obama when this started coming out. So again, these are wins. These are little wins, and he's not even in office yet. So we have a lot to look forward to. But as I said earlier, we can't take our foot off the gas. There's going to be roles to play for all of us to make sure that these different agenda items get across the finish line. And it's important that we all, just like we crawled over broken glass to vote on election day, we need to crawl over broken glass to call the Senate, call the House, and make sure that they know they can't get away with sabotaging Donald Trump's nominees. Any final words before we wrap up?
Oh, just keep watching and paying attention. Now's the time that if you've got power and you're starting to wield it, you got to wield it because in a way that the constituents wanted you to do it. That way they see you doing the job that they put you in office for. You got the power. Start wielding it. And I think our side has, right? And they're starting early. They're starting real early.
I'm seeing a lot of memes like this just before we go, making fun of Jaguar. This is a meme. The Red Sox from 1969 to 2004, their logo, their new 2025 logo, just Red Sox. That's not real. They're making fun of Jaguar. Like, how would you commit brand suicide if you wanted to follow Jaguar? You take everything that everyone loves about your brand, your logo, and you just destroy it. You just make it Arial, Tahoma font, whatever.
It's so simplified. It's awful. It's boring. Everything's boring.
Well, that's it for this edition of the podcast. If you like it, subscribe, like, comment, share, give us a thumbs up. Follow us on YouTube, Rumble, X. We go live Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We also have the audio edition of the podcast, which you can find everywhere. You can find audio podcasts. So subscribe there. Listen during your commute, as you're doing chores around the house, whatever. We're try and make this as audio friendly as possible. That's it for this edition. My name is Max McGuire.
I am Josh Hammerling.
Remember, the fight to take back our country is not over yet, but the only way we win is if we all stand and fight together. See you next time.